Hey, there we go. I know destination, you never been there before. Oh, no reservation, come on, let's go and explore. If you never know before, well, it's your chance to know. Let me show you why. Let me show you why. Let me show you why. Let me show you why.
If you vote and you elect dishonest, incompetent people and they get into office and screw everything up, well, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain.
Grand Rising.
I'll go ahead.
Getting right into it today, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Wednesday. The
10th of March. Yes.
The 10th of March. The 10th of March,
Yeah.
2021. We are talking to you from the platform that is the Humblest of Opinions. Today, my name is Tony Bahama. We're here with Malik Adegamba, our resident guest. And today, we decided to bring you some information, not coming from one side or the other, relative to what is now Bahamian politics. Because it's election season, because the fever is getting higher. The fever pitch is mounting. So we decided to examine the truth or the lies. The lies being, not necessarily preeminent, but it bears consideration. First things first, before we get into that, today, we have to say that the Humblest Opinion is sponsored and brought to you by AB2C Broadcasting, B-Caribbean TV, and Professional Renaissance Protection Services. Our disclaimer states that the views and opinions expressed are those solely of the ownership, management, and talent are brought to you via an at-will clause, a pay-per-view service platform. Your listening or viewing is an agreement which makes you complicit in this broadcast, removes all liability 100%. You don't like it? Turn it off. Leave. Just so you know, AB2C Broadcasting is always on, always providing you content from this platform, and we are the station for you. Okay. As an introduction to this, campaign promises. Reforms with one government in politics, being the sweet science that it is, one group attempts to promise something that the other group did not do. Somewhere along the line, we denigrated into politics. Not when I say we, I mean everywhere. It has denigrated into a politic or a scheme, per se, that it has been that one party or one group or one faction comes in and tries to say this group didn't do that, or we're going to do this, even though that other group did not do it. So where we come in is, let's examine it. You said, or you meaning the party, or one faction or one group said that you were going to do this. Let's examine and see if what they said they actually did when they had the opportunity. You went out to the poll in droves. You gave them power. Let's see what they did. On that note of the most stupendous, astronomical campaign promises ever that has yet to be delivered is the 40 acres and a mule. Delivered by the now, I guess, Republican Party or Democratic Party. It doesn't matter.
Right.
That they said that they would promise a pea in every pot, a head in every cart, and 40 acres and a mule for every black person, every enslaved black person.
Yeah.
Brother Gamba, we're coming to you now. We need your definite opinion. Through much scholarly research. Just a question. Have you received your 40 acres, or do you know of anybody that has received their mule?
I have no knowledge through extensive research of anybody ever receiving anything of the sort. I'm not even aware of anyone getting a portion. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, listen, Bob, we got you a lot. We promised you an acre, but we got you a lot. Okay, you see this patch of grass right here? This would be no. I have not seen any of that. Have not.
What about the mule? Because that's important too. If they did half of the promise, then we could still be.
Man, listen to me. Nobody even got a bag of meat. Okay, not 1 pound of something to say, listen, we couldn't give you the whole thing. And we ain't sure if you eat mule or not. Okay, but this right here is a bag of meat on top, you know, just to let you see it. No, we trying to get this promise fulfilled. No.
We have to look up the market value in comparison to Bitcoin of mule meat. We're going to look at that and see how much Bitcoin that would allow you or afford you in regular stance today.
Yes.
Not sure of the exact value or the demand for mule meat. Not sure. We're not sure. But I don't know if it's flying off the shelves. I haven't seen it. Might be in Whole Foods or something. I don't know.
Yeah, quite possibly. But I would say this: something is better than nothing.
Right. You know, so at least they tried. They attempted to give you something. You know, that promise is yet to be fulfilled. So the lie detector determined that has been a lie. That promise projected and purported in 1846, yet to be received. Yet to be received in 2021. So that's our question today. Who lies more relative to Bahamian politics? And bear in mind, DNA, we understand you have not yet held office. You might never hold office. You have not had a candidate representing or speaking on behalf of any area or constituency. So that doesn't mean you get a pass. That just means you're excluded from this conversation temporarily.
From this particular conversation, because we don't want to beat you with a stick. You know, that
you didn't do.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
You clearly was not involved in this. That does not mean, because we are nonpartisan here, nonpartisan to the ultimate to this. We are Pan-Africanists. We ascribe only to the better upliftment of our people, our Black people, namely, and then our Bahamian people and Caribbean people, Caribbean and African peoples throughout the diaspora. So we you know, I don't care what color you wear. We're going to unpack and see if these are truths or lies that you've been stating. Now, to go back to what is now the beginning of what we call the term promises here relative to the Bahamas, as far as the lie, who lies more is what our topic is today. We're going to look at it. Relative to this topic, we have to go back to the former rulership of the Queen and the Commonwealth or the Bahamas when it was the Commonwealth of the Bahamas recognized under the Queen. Not around as to what those time at the time, but not knowing what those promises were, not knowing if you even had the chance or the value to vote, not sure when or whoever of any Bahamian citizen, regular citizen that swore to the Queen. But Agamba, help me understand. Is there any Bahamian citizen, regular citizen, or better yet, did you swear to the Queen on your allegiance?
No. But I would say this: from you swear allegiance to the flag and to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, then you
for which it stands,
yes, for which it stands, and that's why it's worded that way, because we are united in love and service. Okay, service.
Not the boss. So based on that, if you said the Pledge of Allegiance, you are not the boss.
No.
You are a servant. You swore to be a servant to something that's not worded specifically to what you even know, to which it stands.
Right. Yes.
That could stand for anything. That could mean anything.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you swore to this.
So not knowingly, not knowingly, but yes, you did.
You did
And
spell.
you do.
So that broad sweeps and that broad brushes pretty much everything else as far as politics up to and even before to that you agreed to all of the economic malfeasance and lies that were permeated to you before by what was then the UBP government and then the US ruler, the British monarchy and so on and so forth. So in the modern political era of what was the UBP, then PLP, you, too much comeuppance, too much, I'd say, scandalous behaviors for what it's worth. Don't believe me. Go and look it up. Look up the election of 1962 and the election of 57 and the election of 63. Look it up. Ladies and gentlemen, you had 4 seats in Abaco. You had 4 seats in Eleuthera. You had 4 seats in the smallest islands that were notably, deemably, specifically majority white. All of this in so was regard to regain and keep control of power. That's a real count of fault of trust to the Bahamian people, which was gerrymandering at its finest, as a lie. So the UBP, you're responsible for that one lie, which in turn, they used those following years of election that they won as means or grounds for their how should I put this? Their economic enslavement of the Bahamian people. While that's another show, just wanted to say the UBP, you get a lie. At least one. If you are a UBP of today, don't know who you are, in name, not just the F&M combined, but the UBP specifically. You get one lie. Your policies are determined to be a lie. That's one. That's one we can demystifiably prove. Secondly, now, the modern politic era of 1992, whereas the first party or the second party being the F&M, the PLP, we've been scrounging around trying to find a copy of the F&M manifesto from 1992 with the former PLP chairman, Hubert Alexander Ingram, turned F&M leader, gave the Bahamian people his manifesto as far as what he saw relative to the Bahamas. So, I don't know if you can recollect any of things that might have came through from then. Let's unpack it, brother. What's your thoughts?
I can't recall specifically promises that were made. What I will say is that let's just take, for example, under the F&M. Prior to them, land was leased to international people. Okay, we've had people like Merv Griffin that was just had to pack up and go, right?
Donald Trump was one of them as well.
Yes, after F&M came into power, the law was passed where these people could come and own the property. So now we have international entities coming and buying up major portions and controlling. They have their own sovereignty, basically.
Sadly,
in our country. Okay,
yeah.
I mean, this is something that was atrocious. All right, and needs to be repealed forthwith, because the deals that ended up being brokered after this is what's so appalling. Because okay, let's take for example. One of the things that they was riding on was the poor relations with the unions. Okay, I remember one of the things.
I remember this.
The poor relations with the unions, right? So the goal was to strengthen the relations with the unions and make certain that the labor laws were going to be enforced the way that they should be, to make sure that the Bahamian worker was well taken care of. Now we fast forward to this here, and the labor parties have little to no teeth in this country. because of the contractual agreements that have been signed with these individuals who have been able to come in and purchase the property. Okay?
Correct.
So, all right. Some years back, it was before, okay, so you had Crystal Palace, then you had Sheridan.
Yes.
There was unions. There were unions, right? You couldn't do certain things to staff, because the unions would come down on you if that was against the code. When they turned over and sold the hotels now, you have a different agreement. You can't even sign up with no union. You understand what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Or for those who could sign with the unions, they paying union dues basically for nothing. Because when problems occur, the unions are unable to do certain things for you. Even regular citizens who go to the labor board are unable to get justice. And these are things that were promised on more than one platform over the course of the years. These are promises made that have not been addressed.
So basically the unions, you know, and I am an advocate for the unions of the people of the Bahamas, of course, definitely. But their hands are tied. If you work for a company, an international company, let's just say Barclays Bank, and they own the land, and you sign off to a contract to work for them, and they own whatever properties, and they have a contract, the union is non-existent. I mean, they can attempt to try to do some things. They can negotiate or represent you in the case of malfeasance, but you pretty much lost that battle from the beginning. That's one. So that's one lie that they attempted, that they said. Secondly, the F&M. So that's one lie for the UBP, one provable lie for the F&M. They did not strengthen unions. As a matter of fact, they attacked taxi unions. They have weakened the taxi union. They have weakened the hotel unions. The hotel unions, I remember that if you had a job in the hotel, you could go to the bank, and the bank had to loan you. And the union, as long as you were part of the union, the Bahamas Hotel Union, under one of the most coonastic individuals I have ever interacted to this day. They know who they are. They know who they are. But it means that they have weakened the powers of the union, just the hotel union. So the trade unions was a lie. The hotel unions was another lie. So in 1992, I just recently was able to pull up a copy of the F&M Manifesto of 2007, which was the exact same time frame, or was relative, which mirrors the that mirrors the F&M Manifesto of 1992. They said they restore trust in government. Let's ask ourselves. That's one of the first promises. Do you trust that government? Do you trust the government now more today than you did then? Brother Yamba, give us your thoughts.
I would say this. We all have made our mistakes and errors when we were younger. So times before, yes, I would have trusted the government more back then than I do now. Why? Because there was not this there wasn't this free flow of information. Now, when I say free flow, I'm not speaking about the government giving you information. Okay, let's be clear. The government is not giving you any credible information. Just as no oppressor is going to give you the information that's needed, or the power or the knowledge that's needed to overthrow them. So they're not giving you information. This is the reason why there's no Freedom of Information Act in the Bahamas, even though that was promised, and that has not been enacted in any way.
For the record, who promised? For the record, who promised that?
The F&M would have promised it in this last election. That was promised.
So that's
right?
another lie.
Um,
Okay.
yes, another lie. But the PLP had also promised it the election before.
So they both
Nothing.
lied.
Yeah, so they both lied. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
So one for the PLP, 3 lies for the FNM, 1 for the UBP. Continue.
right. So um, we, because of the fact that we are now able to get information that we were not able to get before, it is very easy to see the lies. You understand?
Yeah.
It's very easy to see the lies. Times before, you only get the information off of the radio, okay, and the local news channels who
Which is
are on the
privately held.
newspapers, right,
Yep.
right, or the local news channel who are controlled by these. If it's not the political parties, then it would be the people who fund these political parties. So the
Correct.
only way that you would get some dirt on these people in some sort of news uh, and considered newsworthy source would be if the people who own that particular distribution company had a problem with the other side. All right.
Which is
Other than
amazingly
that,
to state, which we must state
uh-huh.
that has always been a part of the political diaspora in most countries, and definitely it doesn't escape the
Yes,
Bahamas. Effie and
yes,
DePuch owning the newspaper. One time there were 2 separate publications, and in his rule or in his power on his time, started the law school to protect himself for interests of libel and those type of things, but also brokered a deal where he partnered or combined the 2 newspapers. So now you're getting one opinion from every periodical in the Bahamas. The Tribune was one company and the Guardian was one company. But under his rule,
yes.
he brought them all together and they
Mm-hmm.
pretty much just offer you the same viewpoint, which they have, which is an innumerable amount of power. That probably
Yes.
is illegal in every other country. That you have one main newspaper that's co-aligned in 2 different factions, giving you basically whatever they want to say. That is an innumerable amount of power over the minds of what you read and control.
And so
Continue.
I would put that information under both parties because both have allowed this to continue from then till now.
Yes. So the FNM gets 1, the PLP gets 1. That is a lie. You have your freedom of information. Bear in mind, the FNM manifesto was saying in 1992 it was a matter of trust.
Right.
The I'm looking at now currently in 2007 a copy of the manuscript or the manifesto of the FNM manifesto said it was a matter of trust. That's there. So how can I trust you, or how can you trust me clearly if I'm lying to you or deceiving you or controlling only what you understand and know? So we determined that was a lie. That was a lie. At this point, weakening the unions, weakening the hotels, allowing things to be leased or bought, the Freedom of Information Act, and that's pretty much all the shady deals from before the UBP. Continue. Any other, from looking at this, they again, I see another point. They say to guard and protect our national sovereignty. This is what the FNM says. Go and look at it. FNM
Right.
Manifesto 2007, which is a mirror copy of the FNM Manifesto in 1992. Do you feel, with all of these thought processes led by other individuals here talking about Bahamian national sovereignty and resources, did they guard and protect your national sovereignty? Your limestone, your cobalt, whatever it is, your aragonite, did they guard it? How do you feel?
I don't feel that they ever did. I don't feel that they
Correct.
ever did.
Correct.
And that would be for all of these parties, because if you check the manifestos for PLP as well, you would see where they're speaking about land reform, the sovereign wealth fund. This is another thing too that people need to realize. A lot of times
Hold on. You said sovereign wealth fund. You said in the PLP manifesto. Let's give dates. Let's give time. This is the FNM. This is the PLP manifesto of what year?
We would be going back to the same year in question that you're speaking on. And they
2007.
yes, and then they would be speaking about the land and protecting the land in 2017 as well. All right.
So they lie twice. They get two lies.
Right. The fact the fact of the matter is that well, politics is about selling dreams. Those who don't know that, then that's your fault. But politics is about selling dreams. So they're always going to say what they're going to do or what they want to do, and then when they get in, they're not going to focus on the things that they said that they would, or they would introduce a bill or an act that actually helps to extend their time period for what it is that they said that they were going to do, or it empowers the oligarchs and not the Bahamian people. But because you hear, they're tabling a bill for this particular thing, you feel that it helps you. It doesn't. And then oftentimes you don't even hear about it being tabled. Things just get done and nothing was ever said.
Yes. On that same point, another in the FNM Manifesto 2007 to improve public security. My good sir, do you feel more secure now than you did then?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
I utterly agree. I remember in 2009, 2007, the Bahamas had record highs in murders. Don't believe anything I say. Go and look at the numbers. Record high for murders and crimes and so on and so forth. Now, the factors that lead to these things are what they were promising to address in these manifestos, and those things, still are with us and will be with us always. Poverty and hunger and so on and so forth. But where are they getting the weapons? Where were they getting the ammunition to do these things?
Right.
And if they're saying in 2007, record highs for murders, a total that spiked and went up proportionately. Crime, robbery went up every year. Right?
Yeah.
So they said to improve public security. No, sir. I give a lie to the FNM again for that. And not sure on how to weigh in on the PLP, please. Brother, tell me what your thoughts are relative to that.
I would speak we're talking on the PLP. When the PLP won the election, this was 2017.
Yes.
They had written on the fact that
you mean 2013?
The crime rate
2013.
That the crime rate was so high, right? That you needed to get rid of the FNM, and they were going to make certain that these statistics dropped. That was one of the main things that they championed on, that they ran on, was the fact of the high crime rate and the murders.
And
did they fulfill that promise? Did they fulfill that promise? No.
It did go down, but they did not eliminate it as such as they tried to stand on grandstand.
Yes, they okay. See, here's the thing that people fail to realize. The government only controls crime as it relates to the empowerment of its people. So if you're not empowering your people, then obviously there's going to be more crime. Because if it's more difficult for me to be able to survive in the country, then of course there's going to be a greater risk or chance of me taking part in a criminal activity. But they make it seem as if we have strategic security plans to change these things when you can't control the mind of an individual. So you can't say how much crime is going to take place, or even if you decide that you're going to watch a particular area more, you can't stop these things. We had lockdowns, we had curfews, and people still getting murdered, people still getting robbed during these times.
Present day.
So
yes,
right. So how is it possible for you to be making these statements? You know that you can't do that. You know you're selling a dream. Okay, and both parties have lied in reference to this situation here. You understand? Okay,
correct.
All right. So When we talking about crimes, we talking about murders, you're talking about guns, you're talking about gangs, robberies. They all have said that they will stomp it out. Has it been
Correct. They
stomped out?
have.
Has
No,
it been stomped out? No,
absolutely not.
that's another lie.
Absolutely not. That's another lie for the both. I see it now with the FNM with a narrow lead in the lie competition of having 6 lies to 5, and the UBP, pretty much all of the comeuppance and problems relative to all of these things that are subsequent. Let me give you an example of how this all works. If just to say the UBP were in power, which they were prior to the PLP, and then prior to the FNM, and then prior to this back and forth FNM PLP FNM
Right.
PLP FNM PLP that we're seeing now, the UBP had the opportunity to eliminate a good bit of these problems by their stance of pretty much, I'd say, Commonwealth power or absolute power that they wielded in their time. So all of the subsequent problems, I would say a lot of them, that the FNM, the PLP, and every other party that's going to come up was going to say, those individual parties, those problems that they promised to then alleviate, could have already been alleviated or dealt with from prior the UBP, which they did not. The UBP is the most entrenched economic power in the Bahamas as a group, and they are still around. They are still alive. The people that are still doing this or did those things, their children intermingled their businesses together. And in the election after they stole it, of course, 4 seats in Abaco, 4 seats in Lutra. You kidding me? Are you kidding me? It was a stolen election. And they then, in turn, utilized that power to modernize and to privatize all of the economic powers that potentially might have helped Bahamian people. So, for every strike that the PLP and the FNM and any other country would get, or any other party would get, the UBP has to stand and gets one too. They have to, because they could have ended it earlier.
And that in itself is quite correct. And then the second in line would have to be the PLP, and why they've had more years in power than the FNM, and they have not made the changes that they should. But what I would say is this:
relevant point. Yes.
But what I would say is this: under the PLP, it's been more victimization and more greed in reference to what they can get for themselves. What I have a huge problem with the FNM more so is because of the fact that they seem more UBP minded and more UBP entrenched than than the PLP. So when they're in power, you clearly see where the oligarchs in our country are rising, and they're eating far more. All right.
Correct. Foreign investors, simply put, and they represent those interests. They represent those interests.
And so each time that they're in power, we are driven deeper into despair as it relates to the foreign investments.
And an economic imbalance, the economic balance.
Yes.
Definitely put perfect example. Of course, that's more as far as who teeth more. We're going to get into that show, but we have to mention here, under one government, the PLP government, I was not there, but there was a claim of a murder by one foreign individual. Those that shall remain nameless. One government convicted them. The other government has let them off scot-free, has repealed their case or allowed it to be repealed. Like Hubert Ingram, I looked at an interview, said that I don't make the laws. He said, I try to enforce them, but I don't sentence people. But the government of the country can make sweeping changes to the policies, as is the government, and that is what they're asking you when they get your vote. So to say that you don't enforce such or you don't do such, that is another lie.
Yes.
Along this train and trajectory, we do invite and open our platform up to any individual, politically minded, at the top, at the bottom. We're just offering our humble opinion. We ask that
Yes.
you can offer your too. However, all of what we're stating is built and based in fact. This is not conjecture. This is not a
Yes.
thought process. We gave you, and we're reading directly from the manifesto of the FLM and the PLP and looking at them, the principles and actions of the UBP. And we're bringing that to you. So you, if you come, please, you're welcome to come and offer your opinion. But please bring the supporting fact. We also open up our platform and offer an invitation to politicians, past and or present. So we're proving that you're lying, or we're proving that your government did or did not do such things. Some things we might not be privy to, but if you're not in power anymore, what's the use? You might as well tell us. Because there's
Right.
still some things we still have questions on. There's still some things
Yes.
that still affect the Bahamian people today that they need
Quite a few.
answered.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Yes, quite a few things.
They need answered. Please call us, contact our platform, look up the Humblest Opinion, come and join us and explain, hey, well, I was thinking about doing this, but this happened. We'll offer it to you. It's not where you're going to grandstand. You will have to answer some questions, but we're open to that nonetheless. One of the other things that the government has said to alleviate poverty. Now let's just look. This was a direct statement in the 2007 FLM manifesto. Ladies and gentlemen, alleviate means to make suffering, deficiency, or a problem less severe. So that means they're not going to eliminate poverty. They didn't say that.
Right.
I think that's an impossibility. Nobody.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that. It's
because I wouldn't say impossible, because you have countries that have done so.
Yes. Switzerland, one of them. Dubai, one of them. True good governance.
Yes.
True good governance that benefits the people. They have done this. They have eliminated poverty per se, but they didn't say they want to eliminate it in this. So let's just say they said to alleviate poverty. It's line number 1, 2, it's probably line number 10 or number 12 down in their 2007 manifesto. Let me ask you, Bahamians. Let me ask you, listeners. Let me ask you, people. Are you less poor than you were today than you was then? But a gamble.
For me personally, I would say less, not
Let's
more.
just say in a general populace.
From my viewpoint, things are definitely harder. So nothing has been alleviated. How do you alleviate poverty when you increase VAT, when you increase customs taxes, when you increase property taxes for the poor, not for the rich now?
Correct.
When your light bill has gotten higher now, I'll say this, in the past few months, it has decreased. Okay, it has decreased. But I can say to you, for years under this last government, the bills were so high, it was more than mortgage. You was paying more. Your light bill was higher than your rent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And now, and now they are introducing where they will increase the water bill. So even though they're bringing some form of assistance as it relates to the light bill, now you're going to be going up on the water bill. Everything is going up except your salary. Definitely the job security protection, and this is prior to this pandemic. You're still not getting the job security that you would have had or should have had prior to. So I don't see where they're alleviating anything. I can't. Someone will need to show me that.
So unequivocally, that determined that was a lie. With prices going up, I saw a picture of a watermelon that was about, a slice of watermelon. And it's funny that we're using watermelon as an example here, talking as minority people. But watermelon, I saw a picture of watermelon.
For those who would know, yeah.
I saw a picture of watermelon for $6 a slice. This is not the
Yeah.
entire watermelon, people. It's a slice.
No.
I could. We will post this picture. We'll have it done. A slice of it for $6. When I was a younger boy, it was at least you could get a whole watermelon for $2-3. So it's not
Mhm.
going in the direction. They did not alleviate poverty. The rates of things are not going. Doesn't look right. So both governments now, some more than others,
Yes.
some more than others. Another point that you hit it on and illuminated on was to ensure sustainable economic development. This is what they're
Mhm.
saying in 2000 and 1992.
Mhm.
So, to ensure, meaning that come hell or high water, come pandemic, whatever, no matter what, you are assured. Their model, their manifesto for this, their title for this manifesto was a matter of trust. So, meaning trust and ensure go hand in hand. If someone can assure you something, they are trusting you, or you can trust them.
Yep.
And
You
this
can. You
is to
trust their words.
ensure
Yes.
you can trust their word. So you can. One of their points, key objectives, was to ensure sustainable economic development. Okay, they in the same years prior brought in Atlantis, gave them a 25 plus, correct me if I'm wrong, 20,
Mhm.
25 plus year of not a basic windfall of not having to pay taxes. They
Yes.
reversed the
Just
roads.
concessions. Yes.
Concessions, thank you. That they reversed the roads. The bridge that you go over to Paradise Island, as far as I know, you had to pay your little coins. Now you have to pay what, $2 is
It's
it?
two
Or some
dollars.
money?
$2.
So it is
$2 for a regular
doubled.
car. More for anything else. Yeah.
So it has doubled in the period of time since you're saying they've brought in more hotels and more foreign investors. At that time, as far as I remember, there were a lot more Bahamian businesses. So they're saying that they're going to ensure this. On my end, as far as I see it, based on the numbers, based on what they said, that
Yep.
was determined to be a lie. But again,
Yep.
give us another example. Tell us your thoughts on this.
The corruption level in the country continuously rises, and that's under every successive government. It's come to the point now where people were so bold that we have ministers who they're protecting from being charged with these things. We have
Wow.
sitting ministers' names being called in court documents in reference to malfeasance of funds.
Correct.
We have sitting ministers who people are able to show their previous bank statements from when they came into power and what it is now. We have sitting members who you can see the great mansions that they are building under their short tenure. Your 5 years ain't even up yet, okay? And y'all got these big time houses. When you look at the amount of money that you're paid, your salary, okay, and the business that you would have owned or the job that you would have had prior to that, it's not justifiable for you to be able to do what it is that you're doing, okay? So obviously there's some form of corruption. Now there's things that you know and things that you can prove. So we're speaking on what you know, not always what you can prove, but eyes can clearly see something's wrong here.
Yeah. And that is definitely, wow, perfectly said. So to go back on all of this, to recap as we close in near our time here, we'll look at a few comments and see. But hotel unions, that was a promise. Did they deliver? Was that was determined to be a lie? Correct?
Yes, correct.
Unions weakened. They said to strengthen these things that strengthen the Bahamas. That was a lie.
That was a lie because they weak as hell.
Correct. Freedom of Information Act still is not in power. FNM and or PLP, or I know UBP. That was a lie.
It's a pure lies.
The land, or to protect the sovereignty, the economic sovereignty of the country. That was a lie.
Pure lie.
To alleviate poverty, it's gotten worse economically. That was a lie. Property tax, that was a lie. To make affordable health insurance, gentlemen, ladies, go and look. Do not believe anything we say. Go and look. Come back, offer your opinions. Now, we open, like I said, we open up our platform to anybody, individual, to come to be questioned on how these things came to be. FNM, PLE, UBP. Right now, the UBP have the lead with 14 lies. The FNM are at 12 and the PLP at 10. Ladies and gentlemen, lies. Who lies more? Our tally at right now, as of at right now, the UBP with the lead. So, on another note, we want to take a few comments at the end. We have a few comments here, people calling in. You're free to interject. You're free to state what your point or your opinion is. However, we have to pay some bills. We have a all-expense paid trip to the Canary Islands. The Canary Islands, ladies and gentlemen. The Canary Islands, a place where all the coons go. They go to relax. They go to take away or to get away from the reality that they so desperately hate to admit. We're living in this world that these things exist as far as racial injustice and so on and so forth. And they're having a concerted plan to stop it. Ladies and gentlemen, people try to mask their intentions, but truth and time is recipient of that all-expense paid trip to the Canary Islands. Myers Leonard, NBA player for the Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm.
The Miami Heat, right there next to you, Bahamas, right there next to you, Caribbean. Myers Leonard said in a live stream, this is not a tape delay, nothing can be bleeped. This is what he said. Myers Leonard said that he, of course, I can't even repeat it. We're probably going to get demonetized. But Myers Leonard, who is a white guy, by the way, who ascribes and works around other blacks and minorities on a daily basis, the NBA, right? Says that, quote, "You can't shoot me, you MFF." Go and read it. We don't want to get demonetized.
Yeah.
But this is the same Myers Leonard who last year who gave us some garbage about, he could not kneel for the national anthem in protest because he would be protesting his own family and the police and so on and so forth. One, Mr. Leonard, that was not the intent of the protest. That was not what the protest of kneeling stands for. It was against the national anthem, which is a racist song, which if you had more than 5 minutes that you weren't cursing at people and calling them racial slurs online, you might pick up a book and read and see what the protest was about. Or maybe even talk to one of your teammates. Now you are suspended for giving racial slurs publicly against minorities. You lost your check. And you're suspended indefinitely.
Yep.
So, with your excess time, please report to your flight at 1 o'clock. One carry-on. Does he get a carry-on but a gamble? Does he get one?
No, man.
Yes.
We gotta stop being so nice to these individuals, man. You know, he gets the clothing that he has on his back right now.
On his back.
He ain't got time to really park. He ain't got time to park, man. He got to get to the airport. You know, it's a good little distance. You know.
we're gonna need all that heat memorabilia and all those other clothes. That's it. You know, you report to the Canary Islands because the simple fact that you wouldn't stand for a Black Lives Matter or you wouldn't kneel for a Black Lives Matter protest, and you made this whole big deal to everybody that you were standing based on your morals and your facts that, it's standing against the people that are in your family and who fought for this country and so on. Guess what, buddy? Black people fought for this country too. And the ones who you are insulting with your racial slurs, they fought for the country too. And a matter of fact, the ones who you used a slur about Mexicans, part of Texas and part of what was America in Florida where you're standing, belong to them. So, buddy, cut the garbage, report to the plane right away. Report to the Canary Islands right away. Right away.
Right away.
But again, any final thoughts?
We as a people need to stop being swayed by the political propaganda that's been in place for centuries now. Okay.
Yes.
There's far too much information out there now. Far too much information. So we need to go and do our research on these people. Now, for some of these people, they've scrubbed the internet, taken down certain things because, of course, they don't want certain information to be just out there in the public because it's clear that we did not fulfill these promises of before, even though I know that they would have their marketing team coming up with some good reasons as to why they did not or were unable to. The bottom line is, though, we need to stop being swayed. We also need to stop having a short-term memory loss. And if it plagues you, as it plagues so many, when they're talking, write these things down, man. So a couple of months later, a year later, a couple of years later, you can look back and say, hey, didn't you say such and such? So why are you doing this now? Let's take, for example, who's in office making the statement that you're a lazy leader if you're taxing the people. Taxing is a lazy way of governance. Once we are in power, we will not be taxing the people, and then you increase VAT. Okay, wow. So we need to come to the point where we hold these people accountable, where we pay attention to what it is that they're saying to us, read between the lines, and stop following parties just because your mommy was, or your Grammy was, or your cousin is, or your auntie is. Come on, man. Okay? Let's get smarter than that. All right, and choose governance that helps us.
Correct. Well stated. Well stated. Absolutely well stated. Finally, as I offer my thought before we get to some of our comments, just what we're trying to inspire here. And everybody's entitled to an opinion, and that's the topic and the premise of our show. However, an opinion can be helped, either strengthened or weakened by research or the lack thereof. You can have an opinion that the sky is blue or grass is green, but finding out and having research on that makes you more in better position, more apt to have that opinion. All of our facts and all of our thoughts here that we offer are based in fact. Please go and look at our sources. We will cite them. We have cited them, tagged them, the FNM Manifesto, the PLP Manifesto of 92, and so on up to this day. The UBP history is all online. Please go. What we're trying to inspire in the electorate, meaning you, Bahamian and people, and the global people of the diaspora in general. Go and look and see, like the brother said, what these people are telling you, and then see if what they're doing works for you or if they've done it. That's it. That's all. Thank you. This has been the Humblest Opinion. Thank you for joining us. Tune in next time.
I must do.
Let me go. See, there we go. I know destination, you never been there before. Oh, no reservation.